forced to put everything he has into buying salves, and it's better than dying, I suppose, but that's not an idea. A lot of the farm gonna be spread out. I know they're tanking the creep wave. Knows how important it is for Yambo not levels. So he's actually gonna be going away completely, giving solo EXP over to friend. Does not want to use the Devour while the Undying's in range. Again, it comes XP. 4 last hits here on the Timber Soul. Dry Ranger having a pretty good time. Normally as a drow, you know, trying to harass Soul is exercise in futility, but Zenki really does change things up. Every single attack from the drow, especially when you have Nana's low mana armor.
Not for you.
It looks like we're going to be going the more standard route here with the Arc Warden. Just going to be going for the Hand of Midas. There was a point where we saw a lot of Necro 1s, just mana regen, pushing power, the extra farming power. But it has been nerfed a bit. You have not taking a lot of damage here. He does have the Timber Chain out. But really not that invincible Timber Sword so often. I Annihilate, able to pick up a haste stream, but it's not like he has a bottle. Farmed in that regard. Trying to get onto Bob here, but you don't have that much to work with. Well, they are going to keep trying Cookie 4. They get the Stomp as well. The Stomp, I mean, the damage threshold is extremely low. Masterpiece, he's going for the dive here, already having used Fairy Fire. Only needs one more attack, but Samuel comes in at just the right second. They are still going to chase. Do you have the creeps? No. Assassin, able to solve. Leaving your Timber Soul up top all alone is one thing. You were never going to have it anyway against the Undying. But the Arc Warden, able to secure a little more farm off the back of that. Not the ring working up. Not really going to be that rune. Now someone must be low. It is the Snapfire's low HP, and that does make the Bloodseeker stronger, which is quite significant now. It's that much harder for Masterpiece to get and deal that harass, and a lot of harass on the Bloodseeker goes a long way, because if he's too low, he actually can't get into the creeps. But if he's able to get on the creeps, then he's healing the whole time, you can't push him out. Now the lanes really are not going well for Sumi. 11 last hits, 13 on Yuan Bao Nan. And I Annihilate, I mean, he's having a really tough time as well. This is all foreseeable, frankly. Snapfire was never supposed to have a good matchup in the game. That from the start. And I mean, he's taken solo just by side blades with fraction on. And meanwhile, top lane hit this Timber Soul into the Undying. The Undying was literally first pick.
There is little hope for Radiant's middle tower.
So despite having every opportunity to counter, I mean, they didn't have to run the Snapfire mid either. They easily put the Snapfire as a support, as an offlaner, and better mid matchup, but that was not the case in Vice. Well, it's not quite showing in the net worth just yet. But, you know, in the individual lane matchups, they are pulling up 7 on Bob versus level 5 on the Snapfire. And I mean, as the TA, you don't even have to be in lane. I do like what we're seeing Lots of big ancient stacks. Advantage is ready for the culling, and huge part of the temp. So much playing. Get to a point where with Blink Dagger with the Death Seal, you can one-shot anyone. So much pressure. Ever has vision of you, you pop a trap. Down.
Radiant's courier makes the ultimate sacrifice.
We're 7, almost 8 minutes in. Haven't seen first blood just yet. Look, Trampo now will be fine with that TP. A lot of heroes are converging on the mid lane. Do have a sentry to clear out the TA traps. Now going forward here, want to interfere with the farming. Have they gone too far? Our assassin still just wants to finish up these creeps. By just yet. It's a different story for our Bloodseekers, a bit low in mana. But with the Rupture, you can start fighting.
Invisibility.
It has the Invis rune. But already the TA is done and dusted. Walk away with good amounts of gold. I think that would stack almost 1,000 now. They are going to be finding the Bloodseeker here. Bloodseeker wanted to join up, but doesn't really have the mana for any of his spells. It's finally going to be first blood here, 9 minutes.
For a sec, I thought I owned a window.
Pathetic.
Nope.
And for Sumi, obviously most of their lanes are not doing well, but the one lane they're doing okay in is the Arc Warden. I believe he has a Midas flying to him right now. 9-minute Midas on an Arc Warden is
under attack.
especially because you get that double Midas, obviously. Best synergies in the game, other than maybe the Ogre Magic.
Is in danger.
And as a result, double Midas puts Zet top of network. But, well, the 3 heroes following him are all on the dire side, and that is not great. Drow Ranger very much online at this point. Start going for these pushes, start going for these plays. I think the TA wants to get the first, but Bloodseeker likewise can be fighting. Not too sure if you want to be fighting one versus God knows how many, though. Is going to get cut down. I mean, able to put a large chunk of damage onto their Timber Slow, but Timber, you can just heal up eventually. Tanking all these creeps is great for him.
Bounty.
Well, Vice, I'm not too sure about that one. I think it makes a lot more sense to go for a counter push rather than trying to defend directly. Now you have the Drow Ranger, great for getting onto towers. It's so hard to fight into Tombstone. You're 2 points into Tombstone, that's plenty for the Undying as long as he gets it in a position.
The dire glyph is now active.
And Palos, he's trying to chip away at this tower, able to get a good chunk of damage on it.
Should help.
But here comes a Tempest Double. Tempest Double at low isolated targets. That Flux going to be applying here. Palace, he has the Gust. Gust, very good ability. So walks into a Spark Grave there. The Tombstone is being dropped, and here comes more help. Henry, he doesn't quite have his ultimate back up. It's fairly long cooldown level 1. Whatever's Kiss is coming out. A lot from that. Palace, who can go down. He's actually forced into the Timber Soul here. And the Timber Soul fearlessly walking forward. 24 stacks. Big stomp coming out here from our Elders. Scatter Blast through. Now they are going to be fighting into blood, right? The silence really does help, but already Vice have lost 3 heroes. 24 stacks here. The Timber Soul able to fight against Bomb. Hunter has expired. It's a very good trade already for Sumi, but they're looking for more. Right, starting up the stomp is going to land onto the TA. Now, can we get some follow-up? Not enough to take her down, but this whole time, Sumi, they're farming with their Arc Warden. Oh, going in here with the Blink Dagger. You know about that? Those stacks, they have disappeared, and Mob finally able to take the kill. And again, that is one of the weaknesses of the Timber Soul. While you have your stacks up, great, but the Templar Assassin, one of those heroes who doesn't need to hit you very many times to deal a lot of damage. Every single individual attack really does hurt. And so in that sense, last picking a TA into the Timber Soul, I think makes up a lot of... Rubik with the Tempest double there. Not that useful of a spell to have, in my opinion. It's not like you have a Hand of Midas. Gonna be swapping that out for the Cookie, which I think is generally a better spell. Still this whole time, the Arc Warden farming away as that Midas ticking. Does have to be a bit careful, of course, while you're farming. You don't want to be feeding away your Tempest doubles. Feeding away your main hero with Blink Dagger. The TA absolutely can close the distance, get into your bubble. And likewise, the Bloodseeker, a pretty good hero for that. Headlong at you. Smoke up here. Bob, he does have a Blink Dagger, but he can't use that if he's doomed. Cookie, though, is going to help him escape. Big Bloodright coming out here. Elder Titan ultimate not really connecting with anything. And Enryu and the Chaos just able to get onto these targets, try and finish them off. They are looking at a lot of Timber Soul armor stacks, but the Rubik stealing the Chakram does not care for the armor, and Bob, Doom, it has expired. Are able to finish off these kills, and this is absolutely one of the problems that you have running the Force for Doom. Because you Doom someone, you're not that tanky, you can't really run into the middle of a team fight. I mean, all you have is the phase boost. That's literally it. And so you can't finish the job yourself. You're very much reliant on your team offering the damage, but the Mortimer's Kisses just couldn't come out in time. They could not get the finish onto the TA, and the TA, well, 7 minutes later. Then you just rejoin the fight and clean up from there. Sumi, that's sort of the cost of running this greedy lineup, the pause for Doom, the Arc Warden, who really does not want to fight just yet. It's not that you can't, but so efficient when farming, that's very big opportunity cost for you.
Is under attack.
The anti-mage. Rupture going to be coming out here onto Annihilate. He will be able to get out. No, he still takes the Bloodright. Not quite fast enough there. Vice, this is what their lineup is designed to do. Drow Ranger, you have that Dragon Lance. That's really all you need. But they're not quite getting onto these towers just yet. Now the Doom is down for some time. I would like to see Vice make use of Chakram being stolen here. Very good spell on the Rubik. You do have some mana problems, but if you discount that, a lot from the Arc. Slow, as well as the damage. But they're not looking to commit. The Templar Assassin still farming. Very soon we'll have a Desolator. Good timing.
I'll take that.
Of course, Arc Warden still top of net worth, but right behind. Even with those stacks, that is quite significant. You're about 9, he knows he's safe as long as he's stacks. I think even with the Desolator. Fate. But fundamentally, we do see Timber Souls fall. It's a very awkward reactive armor situation. Very many teams already tank. Tower sort of random fights in the middle jungle don't really go well. And that's where, you know, seeing armor on the I believe that's a Yule Scepter flying out 10 sense, which is always nice to have.
Should look to their middle tower.
Reset button. Rupture comes out here onto Masterpiece. The rest of his team not really in a position to save. He's going to go down to the Bloodright, and Vice finally able to get onto this tower soon. No position to defend. One tier 1 tower left standing, but Vice, they've got their eyes on a bigger target. Headed right into the Roshan pit now. Elder Titan, one of the best heroes in the game for testing Roshan. The Astral Spirit in, but it is so much damage coming out from the Desolator here. doesn't get the chance to whatsoever. Aegis in hand, you got the blink, you got the Deso. I think that's all you need here, Bob. If he sees a juicy target, and pretty much anyone other than a Timber Soul with max attacks is a juicy, go all in. And we kind of mentioned this during the draft. I mean, one of the things that Sumi are lacking is very reliable. Elder Titan, highly unreliable. Arc Warden, highly unreliable. Even the Snapfire with a cookie, we do see a lot of missed cookies. The spell, which needs a lot of coordination, a lot of lively land, and fundamentally the conditions are quite clear. It's very easy for to avoid these conditions. Gus pushing people back, you have the blink of the TA. And that's a bit of a problem here for Sumi if they get jumped. The enemy is pushing into them, they know exactly where everyone is. Then it's okay. Still hit these spells, but otherwise, they don't really have an instant answer to deal with a Templar Assassin blinking into the face. There's no instant response such as Rubik would offer with a lift. But we are having that push situation. This is where Sumi are more likely to land their spells. This tower goes down so fast. Ranbao Nani's really trying to get in, building up those reactive armor stacks, but well, can he go in from here? Yule Scepter, and we get a setup blink out from the TA. Scepter doing nothing here. Masterpiece, he has the cookie out, going to be taking a lot of damage from the Blood Right. Going to be eating a Rupture as well, and that's going to be the... That might have been the key actually, which...
Oh, reminds me of my sisters.
That was the Aghanim Scepter reveal. I'm not too sure about throwing in the Elder Titan perfectly on. As the ET, especially as you, much like the support Doom, you don't have the tank. Much better contributing from a long range using your Astral Spirit. Now a smoke up here from Vice. It really doesn't look like they'll be finding too much. Just looking to provoke a reaction, having that TA front. But Sumi not going to fall for this one. Obvious. But fact remains, you know, have a TA who's farmed, he has an Aegis, which ideally Vice, you want to be out those outer, cutting down the space for the Zet to farm. And eventually they will outscale Drow Ranger late game, kind of 50-50. Once the Doom gets enough farm, is sit on the front lines, maybe get a Ghost Scepter, which is... That's when the Drow Ranger can struggle. You're gonna spit forward to Doom here. Doom comes out right onto the Drow. Not the Drow with the Aegis, it's the Templar Assassin, but so many defensive tools to keep her alive, they just cannot get the finish. In fact, the Drow's turning around even before the Doom expires. Ranbao Nana, I'm not too sure what happened there, but just decided to stop moving, and Bob absolutely cut him down to size because there's no reactive armor stacks in the middle of these random team fights. Like that, they get onto a tower, no Doom available here. They're trying to desperately defend. Well, Palace, he's actually in the front lines. He's going to be eating a couple of those Mortimer's Kisses, but now Mortimer's Kisses down, Doom down, Earth Splitter down. Literally nothing available for Sumi. The best they can hope for is just stall things out, use the BOTs on the Arc Warden, play that defensive game, which admittedly Sumi are very good at. It's near impossible to push into a Timber Soul. Chakram's so efficient at clearing out creepways. It's nearly impossible to fight into an Elder Titan. Not the best here when it comes to making plays very aggressively, but if the enemy's fighting into him, it's so easy to land your spells.
Dire structures are fortified.
And it looks like we might be headed into a long one. I did make a prediction, you know, if Vice win, it's going to be a fast game. If Sumi win, it has to be a very long game. I'm not too sure about the former statement, because Vice, they are ahead by a fair bit. But Sumi, I think, have absolutely no chance at until they get more farm on their Arc Warden, and that's gonna take some. Aegis has expired. Templar Assassin. Do you like the setup here with all these traps? You do have that trap damage. With level 15, have the trap damage. Very easily clear out the waves. Kind of shuts down the split pushing. Can't really stop an Arc Warden from farming. But these creep waves are a very important part for the Arc Warden. Getting vision. Waves are knowing where the enemy is. They're also TP point. So by using these traps, kind of slow down that victory condition to drag out the game. Fundamentally, the Arc Warden, going into the super late game, you literally just have able to get up to your ideal setup. The build is quite standardized. Unless you go for the super aggressive or
The quest for ultimate
Mjolnir into Hurricane Pike is very standard. From there, either you go BKB, you go for more damage. And more damage is either Daedalus or an MK variation there. Palace actually taking a lot of damage, but with the Manta style, he'll be fine. Flux can be dispelled by the Manta. It is still a bit dicey if you're alone, you know, both the Arc Warden and double there. TP out here from Enryu, not going to get caught. It's a very long TP since he... But he will be able to get out. Now as Vice, the worst thing you can do is to be bleeding out kills, especially on the cores. And although those kills aren't that significant themselves, they probably won't lead to objectives, it does mean more time once again. Farm. Desperately what they need right now. Pretty nice item to have on the Arc Warden, actually, the Grove Bow. The best items, you deal a lot of magic damage, especially. I think most of your damage is actually magical. Increased magic damage is nice, and the attack range, obviously, especially once you get Dragon Lance. A lot of synergy there. Very hard to close the distance on you, you Drow Ranger. Vice here? Oh, look at that damage. Ooh. I mean, the Doom. Naturally a low armor hero, but he's got a casual chainmail, he's got the phase boots, he's got 11 bonus armor. But even that was not enough to survive the wrath of Bob. And Bobby, he's decided he has enough damage, which I think is definitely true. Gonna be going for the Hex. Lift up here onto the snap for a big part of their team fight, especially defensively, stealing the Mortimer's kisses somehow. Is that a fresh steal? No, it's an old steal. Yeah, that makes a little more sense. But they are able to defend for now. Sumi haven't lost anyone just yet. It's not like their towers got chipped away at, so that is a success. And meanwhile, Zed on the other side of the map. Harm. I think Ghost Scepter is going to be very important heading into the late game. I do like the Heaven's Halberd option as well. I think we've got a Heaven's Halberd on our Timbersteel, soon to be built. 1,000 gold short of that. And another point on the Snapfire, of course, can't Heaven's Halberd someone who is already under the effects of a BP. But if you get your Heaven's Halberd out first, the BKB does not get rid of it. Personally, I think that's a fairly broken inter... I don't design the game. Grouping up here, Sumi. We've got an interesting game plan. Going to be leaving the Timbersteel to defend. Now the Timber, he absolutely can die if he gets jumped on, so this is a very delicate balance. They were perhaps trying to provoke a reaction for the tier 2 tower. No reaction from Vice means that the tower will go down. But they are going to be coming back in time to defend. The bubble is very annoying against these range heroes, just tossing in a creep, slowing things down. So that the stomp will come out again. They're not really getting any good damage out, but they are just being annoying. They are delaying the game. Have used the Tempest double defensively, which means it's not on the other side of the map, but Sumi successfully holding on only a bit of damage onto their tier 3 tower. And that can be considered a victory for them. Vice, the Drow Ranger back at base, showing on the creep wave. So that the gig is up. Sumi, I think, probably just gonna have to wait for Roshan, which is, I think, gonna be spawning very soon. Let's off a minute of that. And we'll see if that can be the siege breaker that they need. I think we've got the tier 3 items coming. These aren't necessarily that impactful. Not quite like the tier 4 items. The tier 4 items, you know, the game-changing items, the siege breaker items. But there is definitely some pressure on Vice to clip. We are up 10k. Very accurate on the snap fired toss in. Very easy from there. And that's quite a nice pickoff. It means that Vice, I think, have to think twice about going for Roshan. They know what's up, they have the TA trapped. But against the Elder Titan, it's very important to have a good vision setup, which they kind of have. ET, if he smokes up, is to get a spirit into the pit. Looks like that's not going to be the case, though. That was all hypothetical. Vice, they will be able to secure another Aegis along with the cheese this time. Question is, can Vice close it out? They have the advantage quite clearly, but really doesn't mean anything until you take. Frankly, I don't even think 1 lane of Rax is going to cut it here. A little more decisive. Get onto, you know, tier 3. Those 2 lanes of Rax take power. Now that's the kind of damage that Vice need. Bit of a mistake there, actually, not using the long chain forward here from our Timbersaw. Gets hexed up, gets lifted as well, and he doesn't have any reactive armor stacks. You cannot make this kind of move, and that is a very big pickoff because the Chakram is their best way of clearing out creep wave. Now that's not to say that they won't be able to hold on, but it will mean that they're going to have to use the Tempest double defensively, for example, rather than having it out on the other side of the map, you know, forcing a big reaction. No, I spoke too soon. They are going to be using the Arc Warden double to get onto the enemy, and well, pretty good position for that as well, forcing the back from the Temper Assassin, and that really does kill the push. Matter of fact, this Arc Warden top of net worth right now. Gonna be going for the Scotty, so sort of the middling choice, damage and tankiness. Well, Palos laying into the Elder Titan does so much damage, and he really didn't have that much backup, but the Elder Titan just walked too far forward, and it's a repeat of what we saw from Yuan Baonan. I think part of the solution might be to get an Aghanim Scepter on the Templar Assassin. Not something we see all that often. And you could argue that the Boots of Travel are the better option. They are cheaper. And the TA Axe is something you very rarely see, but when you're dealing with this much split push, and when you have so many traps laid out anyway, I think the Aghanim Scepter could be pick up here.
That should help.
Arc Warden, Tempest level TPing in, gonna get taken down instantly. Well, maybe not that instantly. Before he can take out the creep wave, and that's what matters. Vice will still have the creep wave. Push into the tier 2 tower. That's the last tier 2 that they have to take. Gonna be smoking up just to make sure they can't see where they are. No MKB on the Drow Ranger, taking some damage from the tower here. Time to see the power of Sumi Esports. Just holding on a bit early on the repair kit, I think. Getting the best value out of that. The repair kit is pretty much a nightmare item for Vice. we have passed that 31-minute mark. This is where I think we're Sumi victory possible. But they still have a lot of work to do. All of their net worth is on this Arc Warden. Tombstone coming out here. There to sort of preemptively zone. Heaven's Halberd, very good item against, 2 cores that can only deal damage from right clicks. Oh, big blink in, going right for the main Arc Warden here, but Arc Warden gets out. Doom comes out here onto the TA. He does have the BKB running. Mortis Miss Kisses laying on through the supports. Not that tanky here. Rubik gets taken out. Annihilator though, a bit far forward. Drow Ranger still holding on to the cheese, is quite healthy. Sumi, it looks like they'll be able to hold on. What? Big toss forward. They're able to get that 1 kill, but I don't know if it's worth it here. They're losing their Timbersaw when he buys back immediately. Now, if they can get a couple of kills from the setup here, they know that the TA doesn't have the BKB. Of course, they don't have the Doom. Big Cookie coming out here, landing onto Enryu as well. Enryu, he's going to get taken out. Now the TA respawning. If they can take him down, that is a very clear win here for Sumi. Does have the Blink Dagger, and does have the Refraction to make use of it. Bob now turning around, he still packs a pretty hefty punch. Drow Ranger as well. Vice, I'm not too sure they can look to turn around. Well, they are going to get caught. Big spit again onto 2 heroes here. Who do they want to go for? Palace, he has the Glimmer Cape on him. And we know the Timbersaw, he is not impervious to damage, but he does have that Heaven's Halberd that can be very good. Sure. Vice looks like they're going to be backing away. It's not like they lost their TA. They have a D, however. A very good rune for baiting yourself into bad positions. Vice, they maintain their net worth lead, which is nice, but they have lost the Aegis, and for now, Sumi, they do hold. The repair kit, it's as if their tower never took any damage, but they only have 1 more charge left. At most, 1 more charge of the repair kits. Situation hasn't really improved other than the fact that they've extended the game even further. Arc Warden here has the money for a Scotty. Not going to be able to get to the shop to buy that. He's having sneak courier in. I believe he might be a teeny bit short of buyback, but not by much. Another 400 gold for buyback here. Looking at the net worth chart, it's quite clear that Vice have been ahead the entire time, but still not even a single lane of racks, and 35 minutes into the game against an Arc Warden, 1 lane of racks means absolutely nothing. You need either multiple lanes of racks or get an exposed ancient, and that's where they can perhaps rest a bit easier. I have Scotty on a Drow Ranger. Not an item we see all the time, but it does mean that if anyone goes too far forward, which we have been seeing, they will die. Timbersaw, he can die. Masterpiece gets chucked in by his Snapfire quite a lot. Ghost Scepter would really help with that, but if he buys the Ghost Scepter now, he does not have buyback. Another high ground push going to be coming in. They're still holding onto the cheese. It is up. Not too sure who's carrying that actually, but not going to be finding any success with this push. Spit forward, it just onto a creep. Allows for a little damage there with the Chakram. Now the straight up man fight coming out here between the Arc Warden and the Drow Ranger. In goes our Doom. Whoop the Doom here. Drow Ranger taken out of the picture immediately, and the Undying, well, he was able to die and get that tombstone. But the Templar Assassin just cannot get the opening to come in, and a triple kill for Grand Belknap of all people. Vice. Bit split up there. Templar Assassin, I mean, a massive threat. I don't think the Doom can make that kind of move. I mean, look how fast this TA kills people. That was literally 3 hits. 1 Melt Strike, 2 Refraction hits. And that is a dead Elder Titan. But he wasn't there to punish the movement. And in fact, he might be getting caught out here. Blink Dagger not available. The spit, ooh, barely not catching him, but they're chasing on forward. The Hex is going to slow things down, but you only have one Hex. Now the Cookie forward. This is a massive kill, of course, if they can get a BKB being used here. They don't have the detection just yet. The Doom, it was stolen, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's all about this Templar Assassin. Can they take her down? Surviving with the Glimmer Cape. Doesn't have the Blink. Does have a couple of Refraction charges. Dual Scepter here. Well, Bobby's turning around with a lot of damage to Doom. Still eating his own Doom. Arcane Supremacy. Very good buff to have on that. The rest of the team coming in. They are finally able to push down this TDA. Sumi, they're still down in net worth, but the tenacity of them holding onto high ground. I mean, all of their tier 3 towers are relatively healthy, actually. And somehow turning things around. There is a rupture here onto our Timbersaw. Timbersaw taking a lot of damage, but he will be able to survive. Now the 2 Arc Wardens coming in onto the Drow Ranger. Drow Ranger somewhat tanky there with that Eye of Scotty. Won't be going down just yet. But Sumi, without the TA, looking to have a push for the first time in God knows how long. Or not. Looks like they're just going to back off, not going to push their luck. They know that they got a huge win already. Both the Gyro Ranger and the TA. Forward. Pinpoint accuracy here onto the Gyro Ranger. Lincoln Sphere gets popped. Lincolns can't protect you from the Cookie, can't protect you from the Earth Splitter. Masterpiece will snapping that one up. And the Gyro Ranger, when the enemy is able to close the distance onto her, is actually not that tanky. A lot of your survivability comes from your high armor due to your high agility. But that is not the case if you have an enemy right on top of you. Now Sumi going to be going for the Roshan here. It's not the fastest Roshan until the Arc Warden comes in, but with the Arc Warden, he is massively got the Daedalus, he's got the Iron Scotty. And even with an Illusionist cape there. Ooh boy. All of a sudden, Vice, they found themselves a game team that's even in net worth. Draft just hasn't quite updated. Vice, their lineup is designed to play from ahead. Their lineup is designed to mow down these towers, break high ground nice and early, and I hate to say it, but again, it's a very easy prediction. Sumi, if the game goes late, simply have the better hero. And when I say better heroes, I really do mean the better hero, the Arc Warden, who is practically 6-slotted here. But TA goes in, gets an instant kill. Now the BKB means it's much harder to turn around. Now the Arc Warden, he doesn't really care for the BKB all that much. He's laying into him with all that damage, as we see now. The crits coming out. And Bob, with the BKB expiring, is in some trouble. Just going to get taken down just like that. And we are still holding on to the Doom here. He also has the Agnum Scepter, upgraded Infernal Blade. He breaks the Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker normally would be running around extremely quickly, but that is not the case. Although they instantly lose their Elder Titan, fundamentally, the rest of their heroes are just so damn strong. I mean, Doom, he is pretty squishy when it comes to the TA's physical damage, but he's the one with the Aegis, so you can go in without fear, make use of the Agnum Scepter, and Axe Doom is actually a very strong ability to have, especially when you have a Blink Dagger. It's a very long stun on a very low cooldown. Percent uptime on this, which is kind of ridiculous. And as long as you're tanky enough, as long as you're fast enough to stay in range of a target such as the Drow Ranger, you're in a very good shape. And for the Drow, the Lincoln Sphere does not protect you. It's upgraded. Vice, they're in a very tough position here. That's all I can say. Well, now that Sumi are ahead, it's not like the game is that easy for them either. A lot of the TA traps in the side lanes have already been used, but TA traps with their upgrades, talents are very good at stalling out the game. Stalling out the game is not a bad proposition for Sumi whatsoever. It does mean that we could be facing, a 50, 60-minute game. We do have the tier 4 items coming out. Illusionist Cape already on the Arc Warden that we talked about. That's big. Now, technically, not increase the damage of the double. And that's simply because it's not an illusion, it's a... having an extra Tempest double with you, an extra Arc Warden, pushing out the waves can be... Throwing the Doom forward here is definitely the target of choice because he has that Aegis. Won't find a connection this time around. We'll see if he really wants to commit for a push. Timeless Relic on the Doom. Absolute amazing item. Have debuff duration, duration of the Doom, but you also deal more damage. Now, I'm not too sure which he did take the Doom DPS, so this Doom actually hurt a lot. Yeah, I don't think that's actually been upgraded by the talent. That is a missing damage number. 100. I might be wrong with that. The matter of fact is, Sumi, first time in this game, say that they are. What other neutral items do we have? Flicker on the Timber is very good. Get rid of all the silences thrown at you. 2 silences naturally, but the Templar Assassin also has an Orchid. Get rid of that every 4 seconds, which is a very ridiculous item. Vice here, they're going to be going... Frankly, I think they are in desperation mode. If they're not, they should be. Don't quite have the vision, and fundamentally soon either. They're not playing to win. They're playing to extend the game, take the win off that. They're not in any rush. If they get something done, they will find a Tempest double. But they won't actually be able to kill him in the duration of a Hex. In fact, just the Tempest double here looking to turn things around. Eventually will get taken down, but compared to what we saw in the mid-game, TH one-shotting full. It's a very far cry from what we're seeing now. Aghatim's going to be the item of choice here from RTA. Another good way to, I guess, not lose. Extend the game. Sumi finally looking to take the final tier 2 tower left, and this tier 3s and tier 4s now on the map. The Arc Warden, not the fastest when it comes to sieging, and part of that is due to his item choices. You can't crit on towers, and you can't get Mjolnir procs on tower. And that is a large part of his damage against heroes. It's great, but it doesn't work on beating up your push. And we are kind of in a stalemate position where Sumi can't really end the game, and Vice, they're behind. They're not as good as the Sumi lineup right now. But for Vice, I think the onus is on them to break this stalemate. And anything counts. Annihilate, I think, a very good opportunity right now. Tempest double TPing in. It's a little harder. They have found the Doom. The Aegis has expired. They're able to take him down. It's a very nice pickoff. But just the Doom himself does not mean all that much. Elder Titan trying to TP out of here will be successful. And again, killing just the Doom is not quite enough to break that stalemate here. Sumi, they're happy sitting back and waiting for the farm to roll in. Now, their Arc Warden, you do have a bit of a problem when you get slotted out, but he can still replace his Hand of Midas with something. I think a Butterfly could be an interesting choice. The enemy, they are getting MKB. But even an AC, a Basher, I think. Get an Abyssal Blade, I think, could be very good on the Arc Warden. Lots of options there, frankly. When you do hit that 6-slot point, I mean, technically you can't get any stronger, but you can do things like give Moonshard over to your allies, buy sentries for your team. We're probably going to see that come out very soon. Besides what he wants. Final item, I think the Aghanim Scepter on the Arc Warden. Well, it's a very weird one. I suppose it's not bad. I'm not convinced of how useful getting a random rune would be. Bloodseeker as well. I mean, even with these talents, you do kind of fall off.
What a purty hue.
Flicker, for example, very hard counter. And your rupture damage, fundamentally, it isn't what it was before. The Templar Assassin, for example, one of your items has to be... And that can be very awkward as well. Roshan gonna be started up here. We know that Sumi can take it pretty quickly with this Daedalus, but they're not dropping the main Arc Warden into the... They are expecting the enemy to contest. As much zone control as possible. Spark race out as possible. Slowly get onto Roshan. The Templar Assassin is on the other side of the map, did use psionic projection ability to get onto the split push game. And if nothing else, you're just looking to force the Arc Warden to use own Tempest double fashion. But with the Illusionist illusion, I'm control mid as well. Bottom with the Tempest double. But they're looking for a fight now. Actually, Blink in from Samael is going to break the smoke. He's somehow surviving for now. They don't have the detection. He's going to be throwing Yuanbao Nan forward. Rupture comes out onto the Timbersaw, of course. He doesn't actually have any reactive armor stack, but he is able to survive regardless. The enemy not really going for him. And look at the damage coming out from this Arc Warden. When you're allowed to crit, Gus going to be interrupting the cookie here, but the disarm. And the Gyro Ranger has no solution to that whatsoever, just hanging around. TA does end up getting taken down, I think, eating the Doom there. Lots of buybacks coming out. Everyone is back alive, but still Zed standing tall, standing strong, gets the damage onto the Drow Ranger, and I just don't know how you deal with this Arc Warden. Just a roll right-click DPS. Here comes that Arc Warden turning around for the rest of the team. The Doom very low here. And their Bloodseeker running extremely fast, but that does not help him when he's stunned. Got taken down. That's a dieback from him. Here we go. For the first time, Sumi have a real shot of closing out this game. Templar Assassin doing what she can to delay things. Pretty good hero for doing that. You cut down creep wave extremely quickly. You have the global movement, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The backdoor protection, as long as you on the tower, it will not kick in. Buyback from the Undying. I mean, he's a level 20 Undying. 48 minutes into the game. What are you going to do? Blink forward here onto him. Force Staff will keep him alive for now. They do have detection for that Glimmer Cape. They're going to be able to take down his tombstone as well. Still need some work on the tower. As I was saying, they don't really push too fast with the items on the Arc Warden, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's got a pretty piss poor Agi game, but he does have a lot of attack speed. These towers eventually are going to be falling. They're very happy to tank these up. I mean, Vice, they have one more shot at winning this. They need the biggest, fattest, juiciest Sideblade hits. But Bobby's going to go in. They get a nice stun. Heal Scepter immediately on to TATA. Able to get his BKB off, but it really does not seem like he has the damage to take out anyone. And folks, that's going to be it. Sumi Esports held on. Game was never in their favor until they won that big fight, and the Arc Warden moved them online from there. Vice, it's a bit
The quest for ultimate glory continues.
1500 gold. He actually is going to go straight into the pipe here, opting to tank up even more.
Rolling boulder from Sep misses again, but there's the invest bomb, and this time Ohio's in trouble. Roar will come out, they have the magnetize, they get off the silence as well, and Ohio will get right click down. The exorcism will go from Mushi, doing a decent amount of damage to that aggressive. The Borslow comes through, he has no infest, he has the armlet toggle, needs to be careful, the Spirit Siphon coming out, the glimpse back onto aggressive, gets him back in there. They get the grave off in time though, the open wounds will come through, they have the kinetic shield. There's the black hole, from the low ground, on to 3, Sep as well as M1 are gonna get chewed down, 3 dead, Mushi gets a double kill. DJ, are you kidding me, from the low ground?
DJ, God, the crowd, he just goes insane as he hits the black hole of his life. And
Likely could just give this one up. The vision advantage with the Hawk does help. But nope, they're ready. They've actually got a smoke. They can bypass the Hawk with this, but
there's no way they take this in time. Fnatic need to get out. Mushi is going to be stunned by the boulder smash. They're going to come through. Showit looking for a Ravage. Can't find it. Mushi pops the BKB early. Aggressive blinks in. Pops the rage as well. Still has his BKB ready to go. They really want to contest this and take it down as quickly as possible. They get the refresher for Ohio. It's coming out. Double Roar is ready. Can they find a kill off of this? Maybe he's walking up with the Silver Edge. Ohio's going to get caught first. Ravage catches onto 2. Black Hole counter initiation. Static Storm on top. Aggressive is low. They get up to Static Storm. Showit pops the refresher. Not enough. Maybe he's getting chewed through by mid 1. They get off the Roar. They'll lose 2. They'll lose 3. They buy back on the Tide. He's got another Ravage. They have no buyback on Maybe. What an initiation from DJ.
Secures another kill, and Tongfu is going to continue to push. They're not done. Mech still hasn't even been used. There's a hook. How? Brought all the way back to the base. Cleaned up by the fountain. And waddles his way back to the front lines.
Well, like I said, it does waste time, but they kind of need it. I mean, they need to be able to just eliminate somebody from the fight, very similar to what Mu can do for Tongfu. So if he had been a little bit farther up, he would have been able to throw the hook, but the thing is there was a range creep in the way. And there it is, yep.
Banana going for a ride on the Dindy Express. Welcome to the well. Aegis goes to Tongfu. And now charging back out. Dindy going to be spotted, and he gets, no, he doomed the Chen. That's a much better choice. Oh, he got him. He got him. Not going to follow it all the way because we got a battle to watch with Puppy. Trying to get away from it, going to be telekinesed back. And they will be able to get him as well. There you so a 1-for-1 trade. And wow, Hal is still alive down there. Engagement breakout as Kuro. Oh, there we go. The hook, got him. Zhan Xing taking the long ride to Shanghai. Welcome home. Navi down. Can you say mega creeps? Navi, he got him. One more. This is what you call one for the road.
Man, I can't.
The game for IG. Who leads the way? I believe it should be Zoe. They're gonna cut for the shorter path. They storm up the river. Patience from Zoe. Waiting in the wings. Navi's about to be caught. Oh, there's the sleep. The surge. He catches everyone. Oh, this could be a total disaster. Vacuum in. Ravage on everyone. The black hole as well. Light of heaven turns it around. Ravage as well. Stolen by Dendy. Are you kidding me? They turn it around. 4 heroes dead.
5 heroes dead. Chuan trying to survive. Chuan's gonna go down. Puppy talked about the Naga counter. It's Light of Heaven with his BKB. They turn it around. I don't even know how they're gonna do it. Standing ovation from the crowd. The last tower will be going down.
Start the fight with that global and just try to blow up and get on top of that Zeus right away. Get into that backline. I mean, the Rubik and the Zeus are really starting to be quite an issue for them.
Chalice is in with the opener, straight in with the lasso. The tower will fall, but they'll drag back the Ember Spirit into the torrent, cut him down with the Tidebringer. He's dead, but on the side. They find Arme. Arme's dead for 60. Still alive at the moment. And all the use! The dodge! Anna up into the end, dodging the Echo Slam. Somnus, he's trapped here in the Sprout. OG, they'll slowly punch down the Kunkka. The Stolen Vision Jerax sets up onto FY. OG!
So this PL will continue just to BT split push this game out. Get more and more money. And that, for me, is still the biggest problem for Evil Geniuses. Where do you go with this? Fear needs to have that damage dealing item. But in order to do so, he's got to drop either his TP scroll or sell the Ring of Aquila. And Samel, blink, Dragon Tail stun. Garda's going to be here with the hookshot as well. They're going to bite Samel. The Cogs burn bought them a little bit of extra time. And with Samel down and no buyback, Roshan is a very, very juicy target here for CDEC.
Yeah, EG are going to know they're going for it though. First of all, it would be pretty obvious from the lane situation, but they also have a good ward around the river area to see that CDEC are moving in there now. I don't think EG are interested in contesting this 4-on-5, but maybe they can delay it long enough for it to be a 5-on-5 if they Ice Blast and Fissure properly. There is no hook shot.
They're all together. PPD, here comes the Ice Blast, ready for the dog! In from Universe! It's a disaster! CDEC! They're going to get wiped from the face of the earth, apart from aggressive. He'll jump out!
5 seconds remain. It is Radiant's ban. Seconds. 5 seconds remain. Dire's turn to ban.
And we're back with game 2 here between Vice Esports and Sumi. It's a bit of a slog, but Sumi were eventually able to take game 2 against the lineup from Vice that was designed to take tower and end the game very early on. It ended up being 50 minutes. Sumi, they just had the better lineup for that.
5 seconds.
Now, we have since discovered that Vice are actually in a bit of a hurry. They have another match scheduled shortly after this, and that might be why they're trying the game as fast as possible. Now, honestly, you can put it down to a draft win. Fundamentally, Sumi, they had a very clear objective in mind to stall out the game. But there are perhaps a couple of minor adjustments Vice could have made, which might have given them a better shot at winning it, but things like the Eye of Skadi on the Drow Ranger is a very abnormal pick. And up against the Arc Warden, I think an early MKB makes a lot more sense than an Akadi. In that situation, you give the Aegis over to the Drow instead of the CA and have her chip away at the towers. They also did get a bit unlucky in the fact that Sumi were able to grab the repair kit. It's roughly a 50 chance. And that definitely helped them further. I don't think Vice were able to take single tier 3 tower in that game. We're going to be seeing a very big shakeup here. The Magnus already snapped up. I think was actually completely ignored in the previous game. It does make it through a lot of teams actually banning it out in the first phase. So Magnus first pick here, we'll see what they combo. Very unlikely to see a Drow Ranger. Not likely to see a repeat of the previous game. But the Magnus already is very different in that it gives you this sort of siege breaker opportunity. With a Drow TA lineup, you're very much reliant on that range damage chipping away from afar. You don't have this boom potential which you have with Magnus. With Sumi here picking the Doom once again. You did go for the Snapfire last time around. Snapfire, I think, a very good choice for Vice as well. No, they're gonna go with the Grimstroke, denying that from Sumi. Now Sumi, they had the opportunity to pick up the Grimstroke last time with the Doom, but they chose not to go for it. It went completely ignored in the rest of the draft. But the Grimstroke, I think, does have a lot of synergy with the Magnus. Thinks, well, goes well with any hero who has a stun in melee range or is able to stick onto targets, and I think the Magnus fits the bill. You know, even things like putting all the enemies together for a single stroke. I do quite like the pickup from Vice. And now Sumi, they have to make the tough decision of whether or not they want. Otherwise, they could go for something cheeky like pick a Phoenix, ban the Snapfire. Lots of options there. How they want to take this. Now we know that the Doom for them, they did run it as a position 4. It is a flexible pick. Not a lot of teams want to run the position 4, but if you're comfortable with it, then you're always comfortable with it. They're gonna go the Faceless Void. A lot of thought put into this. And I think if they didn't pick up the Faceless Void, it was absolutely one of those cases banned it themselves. You don't want to give Vice that mega team fight potential. Again, a hero goes very well with the Grimstroke, both in lane and in the mid-game team fights in general.
Dire's turn to ban. It is Radiant's ban.
Snapfire taken out of the picture, a very obvious ban. I think something like the Zeus or the Invoker ban also quite obvious here, more so the Zeus. You know, a hero who can keep your distance from the rest of the team, not get hit by a big RP, and you're obviously amazing throwing damage in Chronosphere, so I would be very surprised if a Zeus. Sumi, on the other hand, already they're revolving around 2 very big cooldowns. Doom and the Faceless Void. Chronosphere are almost 3 minutes. So, Vice, there are ways to play around that. Try and match it with big cooldowns of your own, or you try and go for a lineup which either fights constantly, not operating along lines of long cooldowns, or you go for something like Split Push. But Split Push, we saw from Sumi, it did end up working quite well, but that's because the R coordinate has relatively low risk split pushing.
5 seconds.
Tempest double dies, you're very sad, but it's the world. Sumi, they have that idea in mind. The anti-mage being taken out of the picture. No anti-mage, no pesky hero jumping around the map. EA, to a lesser extent, can also do that, but they are taking off the synergy with the Magnus. There's still plenty of obvious synergies with the Magnus left in the pool. The Juggernaut, for example, the Troll Warlord. Not to do too well against the Faceless Void.
10 seconds remain. 5 seconds remain.
Sven, very hotly contested pick, and I think can do very. And as the Sven, if you pop your Warcry, you pop your ultimate, you don't really mind getting doomed afterward.
Dire's turn to pick.
Sumi, they're gonna go with Lifestealer ban. I think that really doesn't leave Vice with the option other than the Sven, frankly. Such an obvious Spectre. I don't quite like Spectre and Sumi gonna be going with the Tusk. It's a hero that allows them some early fighting. Goes quite well with the Doom in my opinion. 6. Their movement speed means that the Doom up and stick to a target. Those procs on
5 seconds remain.
team, although you don't really have the highest attack. Does give you some nice defense against the Magnus. Big RP, you come in with Blink, snowball everyone, and the RPs come. But that's a bit hard to pull off. Does require you to have a Blink in most cases. And Vice, again, it's very obvious choices for them. They want to fight this head on. Split push. Sven is by far the prime pick in this position. I don't think Tusk really. Because an Omni Slash very difficult against the Faceless Void already, but the Tusk with this ball.
5 seconds. Radiant must choose.
Sumi gonna be going with the Lich. I was actually wondering if Vice would want to pick, because the Lich does have some very nice synergy with the Grimstroke. All of your spells, except for the shield, single target and therefore doubled up by the Grimstroke. And there's nothing scarier than having 2 Pain Frosts bouncing between 2 targets which cannot move apart from each other. Then you have the synergy with a shield, of course. The Lich goes very well with melee heroes. Great synergy with Doom, Tusk, and the Faceless. All heroes who can stick onto their target. In that sense, it's very similar to the less CC and a little utility. Very nice to have. Faceless Void does not get smacked down in a I think they could use a hero, another melee hero who can get onto target. An Earth Spirit would be quite nice. Then maybe you're worried about having too many melee. I'm not too sure what they can go for in Vice. They're not too sure all of their time. They go with the Timbersoul. Huh, okay. Timbersoul don't like getting doomed. Generally speaking, matchup isn't terrible. But likewise the Tusk strength hero. And in lane, you can do very well against the
5 seconds.
Early on, the Time Wall gets a very long cooldown. Sure, he negates a lot of your damage, but then what? As long as you have mana, you can keep spamming those spells. But later on, the Faceless Void, I think, has a very good matchup into the soul. It's kind of hard to kill it outright, but time dilation does wonders against.
It is Radiance, man.
No, you're not worried that much about the Lit. Bit of magic resist you're on, but the Timbersoul is a big risk, and Vice, they would agree there. All of their reserve time. Pick. Sumi, very obviously, they need a mid hero who can put out damage. Chronos here, Zeus is by far the most obvious choice. Sumi, they do agree with my assessment. That an Air Spirit would.
Radiant's turn to pick. Dire's turn to pick.
I speak for the trees.
Vice go with an H Prophet, that's going to be their split pushing option if it really does come to themselves in a position fight head on into a Doom. To me, Zeus, I think, still very obvious here. The Aghanim Scepter can be a good answer to the Prophet as well. Up that TP, both the natural as well as TP scroll. Quite surprised if they be an invoker for. I suppose the Storm Spirit could be interesting as well. There's not that much reliable lockdown on Vice. But the Nature's Prophet almost certainly is going to forces you into Yule Scepter. If we're really going to go that far, I mean, lockdown. Very hard for a Magnus to do an Ember Spirit if fast his reactions up. Breakfast is Sumi, I think their options are clear, which one they're comfortable on. They're not too sure about the mid matchup. It could be the Magnus or the Nature's Prophet. They are going to go with the Storm Spirit. the more active of options. It's not as stable as a Zeus. I think a Zeus you always know is going to... But the Storm Spirit, I think in the mid game, just gives you more playmaking we're after here. Overall, I do quite like the Sumi draft. Vice, for the most part, are going to be betting it all on the Magnus. He's going to have to be the one to land these big RPs. Sven, likewise, has to find a lot of farm. Hopefully, he'll get some help from his stacks. Actually, hold on. Palos taking the Nature's Prophet? Are you telling me this is going to be a support Sven? Enryu on December's when the offlane is expected, but that leaves Zenki on the Sven and he pretty much exclusively plays support here. I have no idea what's going on, and all I can say is Sumi versus Vice. Sumi 1 match from moving on to the lower bracket finals. With that, they will be guaranteed, I think, $3,000 US. Vice facing elimination here, 1 game away, and they get it done.
You look stunned. What did you expect? You look stunned. Are you kidding me?
The time for preparation is short. Use it wisely.
Sumi loading in here, all grouped up together, gonna be going for a smoke. Now, you don't actually have the strongest level 1 heroes. I mean, the Tusk is pretty good, the Lich is decent, but Doom, pretty terrible. Is this Void? Not great. Storm Spirit, definitely not a good level 1 hero either. They're being a bit hesitant going high ground, and that's very understandable. Cheeky way to get a good advantage at the start of the game, but I mean, you can tell by the hesitation, this just is not a lineup which is trying to fight level 1 very well. We're more confident in their level 1 abilities. You would see them just barrel straight in, but not going to be the case. You're not going to find anything. Remains to be seen how the runes are going to shape up here, but Palos, with the Treants, he's pretty strong level 1. Doesn't really have any CC, but in a direct fight, he puts out a lot of damage. Looks like it is indeed going to be a Sports Sven. Pulling Blade. I have no idea how this is gonna... Support Sven. Stun's great, your Warcry is great. I mean, where's the right-click damage gonna come? Furion, he's decent, but quite clearly not on the level of his... Missing the first last hit here, Palos. Happy just going for denies here. It'll be a tri-lane versus solo lane situation until our Grimstroke TP's down. This is a little more normal. Now Sumi, do they want to tri-lane? I think they were just trying to give the Timber Soul an early couple of levels, after which he really does stabilize. But Sumi, on the other hand, the Doom is a hero who can always keep up his net worth. Thanks to his Devour. Just the Devour alone, I think, is like 150, somewhere in that ballpark. Stout, so they're happy having their Doom suffering a bit. If it arm onto it. Now Bob able to take Annihilate Extreme. Won't be able to get the kill just yet. 2 supports against 1 is not a fair fight. They aren't quite able to get the finish. Ice Shard's finally coming out. Samael turns around, won't get that Stroke of Fate off. And mid lane, Storm Spirit gets solo kill there. Cheeky skewer off the Magnus. A lot of damage from the tower, but that gives him full bottle. A very big advantage to have against Storm. Lich ends up going down, so 1-for-1 trade on the supports. Not terrible here for our Timbers, but more interesting enough, not going for any points into the reactive armor, so thinking he can get aggressive here onto the Faceless Void. But 1 spell rotation is not going to have to do it. You're going to have to commit 2 spell rotation, and that is a very costly mana. If you don't do that, he just time walks off all the damage, and well, this is not a usual build. What? Skewer once again, I Annihilate. Not going to be placed into tower range, and now Bobby's extremely low HP. High ground miss though. I Annihilate won't be able to get that kill. He does have a salve to heal himself back up, but Bob on the other hand, he's got that bottle. No rune's going to be coming up anytime soon. Might get a support TPing into refill. Otherwise he's going to have to heal up the old-fashioned way. No, I Annihilate, he comes in. Another big skewer. Static Remnant won't pop. Does get the vision. The overload is enough to take him down. Our support Sven comes in. I Annihilate. Gonna get chopped down. I think he can be decently happy having redeemed himself in the 1. Henry, we'll see if he can survive with only 1 point into the reactive armor. He's doing a decent job of it for now. Zet not focused on taking him down just once last hits. He knows that with this Sven being a support, he is by far the strongest core in the late game. It's not even close. So as long as he's able to secure his farm, as long as, much like last game, they drag the game out, they are simply going to have the better lineup. Story. I did mention Vice. I mean, they're in a bit of a hurry to end the game. They don't want to be late for their match. 4-minute rune going to be secured here by our Storm Spirit. Annihilator comes in. Not too sure you'll be able to get a kill onto a Magnus. He's naturally tanky here. He does have the skewer. But I think they've realized they can't really do much more to bottom lane. Very close to having level 5. 2 points in reactive armor is much better than 1. It's like how 3 points in reactive 2. Although the 4-point in reactive armor actually, in my opinion, isn't that good. That takes a lot of damage, but no problem. He's able to time walk it off. And now getting on to the Grimstroke, he will get the stun from the Inkswell. Zet is chasing, will get the bash, will get the finish. Bit of a skirmish here for the 5-minute rune. Sven with 2 points into the stun, Rambonan. Pretty much impossible for him to try and contest that since he has no CC of his own. Well, Sumi going for some suspicious movement. Maybe they want to kill Magnus before he has the RP. Their ward. Very important for the Magnus to be able to head into the jungle in most cases. Storm Spirit not level 6 yet though. Hard for him to play aggressively without that ultimate. But now that he's level 6, this will have already left that lane. He's going to try for some damage. He's going to get skewered in, but no mana for the RP. Pop the stick. He could have gotten the RP, but even then, if the power's not aggroing, which I think it wasn't necessarily going to do this. Meteor on the rune. It is a haste rune. I Annihilate with the Vortex. We'll be able to secure that win. Sven went down top, but as a support Sven, he's only level 3. Well, you do have level 6 here on our Timbersoul, 2 points into the reactive armor. And this is maybe where the Faceless won't have the best of times, but he almost has that Mask of Madness. He can be very happy heading into the jungle. No problems whatsoever. Storm Spirits, not having an amazing time in lane, but much like the Magnus, as we see right now, you can catch up into the jungle. The game's never really going to be that bad. Haste Rune here. Going for the Grimstroke, by far the easiest target. Palace, he is in the area. It's actually a free versus 2 because Void went down there. And now Annihilate, he's going to run into a Sven. Sven can't quite get the stun out in time. And now Annihilator in some trouble. They get taken down there. Big rotation coming out from Vice and Sumi. They come out short. Losing that much mana and HP on their Storm Spirit is a pretty big deal as well. He's going to have to make a slow walk back to base. He used the TP to get bottom. That's a lot of opportunity cost net worth being lost there. Dying for. Hannah Midas here for Nature's Prophet. Very early Midas, but it is off the back of absolutely no ground boots even. I'm not too sure how that's going to play out, trading farm long term against the Phased Void, against the Storm Spirit, with a support Sven who fun. But they are finding farm on their other heroes. Timbersoul is having a pretty time. And the Magnus working on that Blink Dagger. It's going to be pretty telling if he wants to go for the Blink first or the Echo Saber first. He's got them both boot up. It means he's going to... Very clear pros and cons on that one. I think if you're feeling desperate, if you feel like you have to force something, go for it. But otherwise, you can't go wrong with the Echo Saber. Faceless Void in the jungle, it's not that fast without the full mom, because it's safer than showing in lane. Doom does have level 6 now. Hard to find the right target. Just the Doom alone, as we saw last game, you can't really do that much. You do need a little bit of help. And the Storm Spirit, for example, a very good hero when it comes to following up on a Doom, getting the finish. And, just having less stuns being thrown out at you does benefit Storm a lot. Very synergy there. But I Annihilate, he doesn't even have his full treads. They're flying out to him right now. Just look farm. Void TPing in. This could be big. He has the Chronos here. We haven't seen that, but he is going to get spotted out by the Treant. Vice immediately backing off. Looks like no fight is going to happen here. Vice not keen to fight into the Chrono. It's not like they have their Magnus ready with a Blink. So why risk the head-on team fight? You're still getting good value. Palace, you can farm anywhere on the map, has the support up. Having the Timbersoul sitting in lane, being the one to soak that aggro, I think is perfectly okay. And the Magnus so efficient in the jungle. Mom finally complete here on the Faceless Void. It's a lot of single target damage, no Chrono, but it's also much better farming. And we are going to see that combination here, the Doom plus the Storm Spirit, going right for the Magnus. Now, can they get the finish? Silence coming out here onto Annihilate. He's able to dodge away from the Inkswell, but he's not able to get that kill. Now, that's a pretty big loss, having expended that cooldown. Sumi, they don't lose anyone, but they can't take down the Magnus. I think they had the right idea, as I was saying, going on the other side of the map here onto the Timbersoul, but maxed out reactive armor. Now the bashes, they are magic damage. Mask of Madness coming out here, but Enryu just sits and heals through it all. Physical damage cannot touch him. He has the Glimmer Cape, very resilient against magic damage as well. And Enryu, just absolutely untouchable. Very different state to our Timbersoul last game, who will fall many times to a Templar Assassin with that armor.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Vice, it's not like they have a net worth lead, but everything that Sumi has tried has not found anything. And these are very long cooldowns. 3-minute cooldown. on the Doom, on the Chronos here, that is just not going to be available in these coming fights. Now they are going to keep going on forward with the aggression, but again, the Sven going down, he's level 5, 11 minutes of the game, no one really cares. I'm sorry, thank you. No one really. I really don't know why they had to run the Sven as a support. I don't think it's a bad game, particularly for a core Sven. Now maybe you're worried about getting kited around, but if you go for a relatively tankier build, I think you can afford to just sit in team fights. These days, God Strength, it lasts so long compared to the debuff Sven. Smoke up here. And they don't have the biggest tools to go for kills, but they do have a Tusk, and Tusk is very good in these scrappy engagements. Able to get right onto Palace, TP in from... Samael gonna be TP'd there. Sorry, cancelled there. And Sumi able to find success. It's onto the most farmed hero in the game. That's not bad from them. And they will soon have that Doom, will soon have that Chronosphere. Probably looking to get something done. And he's killable, as long as he doesn't have 25 reactive armor stacks. That is a pretty big if. He's able to sit in lane like he's doing, tank up the creeps. It's very hard to kill. Faceless Void is top of network for his team. And it's not like he's behind by that much, but I don't really think he's in a state where he can solo kill people in a Chronosphere. Doesn't have anything like the Zeus or the Invoker to help him out. And a lot of their mid-game fights, I think, are going to have to involve the Storm Spirit. Being the one with that mobility, the extra bit of damage to finish off these kills. Now they do have Ice onto Enryu. Very hard target. They're actually not going to go right for him. Zenki is going to be in a position to break that smoke, but being spotted out. Going to go down extremely quickly, I think. Actually, maybe not if the line comes out here. Snowball forward. Doom holding onto the Doom. They have used it here onto the Timber, so big bounces coming through. And the Timber, not that resilient against magic damage when he doesn't have the active of the Glimmer Cape. Gonna get taken down. Vice cleaned out quite convincingly there. Sumi does cost them the Doom, but they're still holding on to the Chronos here. Bad turn of events for them. We are going to see Annihilate rush that Yule Scepter. It's almost a given that the Nature's Prophet is going to be going Wicked. The Yules makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't mind seeing an early Manta style come out from her faces. Well, I think getting a bit of damage first to farm more efficiently is nice, but you are going to need a Manta style or the BKB. Now, personally, I do find the BKB interesting. You have the Magnus with the RP, and that obviously tier B. And you have the Nature's Prophet with the Sprout. Now, the Sprout you cannot cast directly on target, but if you right next to him, and in most cases, it's almost as good. Their Faceless Void, no matter what build he goes for, to go for the Quelling Blade in his inventory in the long run, maybe turn it into Battle Fury later on if he does feel that. MKB first is greedy, but it will give him that possibility to kill people in the Chronosphere, which I think is always a very important threat to have in the game. It allows you to do things like split push. It means that when Furion comes in to try and contest that, or you go for the Furion yourself, can't sit easy knowing that it's going to take multiple to kill him. And often, you know, if it takes a full 5-man rotation to kill you, you are happy dying. With this damage, the Faceless Void can get it done just by himself. Vice here, very aggressively in the enemy jungle. They know the Doom is not available, that it's not the longest cooldown. But without bringing the Furion in, it's not the fastest of pushes. They do have the Link Dagger on the Magnus. He's trying not to use the RP if at all possible. He will end up committing it. Just taking the Doom out of the picture. This will secure their push. But they don't actually have that many creeps under the tower. Zenki pops his ultimate, doesn't really hit that hard anyway. But with Enryu coming up to help the tower, That is going to be the first tier 2 dropping on a nice and early 16 minutes.
Dire's top tower is no more.
Don't really have that much vision control coming out from the Radiant though, but there is one ward, but it's not really that useful of a ward in my opinion. You don't cover that much area. The enemy can absolutely sneak through this path here. Spotted. And we're going to be able to TP out. I actually very much like the item build from our Timbersaw. In fact, I often wonder why people don't go for this type of style more often. Glimmer Cape, in many cases, is better than a casual Hood of Defiance. If you look at the effective magic resistance that you get late game, it scales so much better because the flat block from the Hood of Defiance does not scale well into late game. And it's actually not improved by magic resistance. Just 400 HP against magic damage, but that is not multiplied into EHP by. Whereas the Glimmer Cape gives you so much MR while it is up, and going for a very sensible item in the Guardian Greaves as well, I think. It's fairly obvious for a Timber to build into the mana boots, and going for the mech afterwards, just having that extra bit of tankiness. Personally, I do like my Timbersaws tanky, as long as you have enough mana to operate. Going full tank is actually the way to go. Vice looking to set a trap here. 2 supports smoked up behind our Nature's Prophet, but surprisingly Sumi not going for anything. They have the Doom up, they have the Chronosphere up. They are confident enough in their late game that they can take this fight whenever they want. They're not in any hurry to close things out, and obviously it's always a bit scary fighting late game against an RP, but at the end of the day, the face is full. Core, the Storm Spirit scales extremely well into late game as well. And while the Tusk, the Lich, they do kind of fall off, the same can be said of a support Sven for the most part. Now as a Sven, yes, you do offer a stun when you get the talents, that's quite nice. Oh, RP comes out here onto our Storm Spirit. TP in from the Nature's Prophet is effective. Couldn't use the Yule Scepter in time. That's a pretty big win there for Vice. But for them, I think solo kills don't really mean much unless they're able to get onto a tower. Whereas Palace, I mean, he seems very happy farming into late game as well, perhaps waiting for the BKB, which I suppose is a fair assessment. But I really don't think you can take this ultra late snowball forward here onto our Grimstroke. Is going to get stunned. It should be a fairly straightforward kill. But here comes Palace, here comes Zenki. Zenki really doesn't do anything beyond that stun on either, able to tank on through. Chain Frost is absolutely nothing. Masterpiece going to be taken down by our Magnus. Chronosphere comes out, a lot of damage coming in. Magnus walks into that Chrono. The stun from the Sven going to be holding things back. Well, it's a 2-for-1 trade, but here comes the Storm Spirit. Long zip in, able to take down the Magnus there. Now it's just all up to our Timbersaw, but the Timbersaw Doomed could not have done anything. The only person who survives is Zenki on this Sven, and well, even he might be going down. Ionite doesn't have that much mana. He's gonna have to give up on the chase, but well, I really have to ask, what did support Sven do in that fight? He stunned the Faceless Void after the Chronosphere came out and the damage was already done. He stunned a couple of supports, but it wasn't enough to save his Grimstroke. And that's about all he did. The bonus armor, I think this game is really not that significant. There's a lot of magic damage. Faceless Void, the Bash is magical. Didn't go for the time lock damage, which I tend not to do these days, but the Bash is magical, the MKB is magical. Obviously the raw physical damage is quite significant, but the Warcry is, I don't know, it's not that great. It's not like movement speed is that big of a bonus. Timbersaw does not care for movement speed. Maybe the Magnus does. The Nature's Prophet, normally you're in a good position anyway. It's not like movement speed height around that much. This is quite big though. Gonna be going for the Roshan here. It's not the fastest Roshan, and in that sense, it's a bit surprising But surprising also means that Sumi are not going to be expecting it. They have no vision in the area. This Roshan is going to catch them completely off guard. Going to be giving the Aegis over to Palos. He is the hero who does by far the most damage. He's got the BK now as well. I suppose the Magnus does deal a fair bit of damage too, but it's very conditional. He has to be right on top of the target and made it working. Cronus here up in 30 seconds or so. Similar story for the Doom. That is a bit of a window where Vice can try and go for a fight. They've got eyes onto Annihilate, once again committing the RP instantly. Orchid to follow. Can they take him down in the duration? Yes, they can. Star Spirit, I think, would still die even if he uses the Yule Scepter, but that's still delaying the push by a tiny bit. Sumi, on the other hand, no point fighting before they have their ultimates. Just gonna go the split push on the other side of the map. It's not the fastest split push from them. Nothing like a Leshrac, nothing like Pugna on that level. But they do push pretty fast regardless. TP's coming in though, they want to fight this. Nature's Prophet, he just has the BKB, gonna be using it. Stun comes out here onto a Faceless Void, but he's still able to time walk out, is able to land the Chronos here onto a couple of heroes. Gonna be using that to TP out, but no, Magnus Skewer from the high ground. Zed gets taken down. Doom here onto our Timber Soul, but where are they gonna find the damage to actually kill him? Palos comes in, Masterpiece cuts himself out. Chain Frost gonna need to be very lucky here to get something done. And Sumi, they've used both of their huge cooldowns. Doom down. In comes our Storm Spirit, but the Yule Scepter being forced out very early on. And that's a lot of mana wasted. They have him stunned inside the Ice Shards. Annihilate, he's very low in mana. Tusk will be able to blink out. Storm Spirit surviving for now, but he doesn't have the Yule Scepter anymore. Palos, roll right-click damage, able to get the job done on a very, very big win here for Vice. They're still holding on to the Aegis. I mean, they're still chasing onto the Lich. But that is a good number of kills going their way, and right onto high ground we go. Storm Spirit buying back. You do have to respect that, Bob. In very deep, but he has the BKB protecting him for now. Take down the tier 3 tower. I think it's time for you to get out. The enemy doesn't have their big spells, but you don't have RP either. Nope, they're feeling confident enough. Nice skewer back onto the Doom. Storm Spirit comes on forward. Instant Orchid. He's forced to use the Yules immediately. They can't really change them afterwards. It is kind of hard unless you time the RP perfectly. They're gonna have to let that one go, but it's already a win for them getting onto this melee Rax. 24 minutes in, able to claim the first Rax of the game. Not a bad start here for Vice. Now Vice, apparently they are in a hurry. They've got more Dota to win later on. So not taking it slow, going right for the next tier 3 tower. Now the Lich coming out with Frost Shield can slow this down by quite a bit, but once that Frost Shield goes down, he does deal a lot of damage. It's another tier 3. Now I don't know if you want to go for the melee Rax here, certainly not. With the Frost Shield coming out, then Palos, the second the Frost Shield comes out, he switches targets, goes for the range Rax. Faceless Void doesn't have the Chronosphere, but he does have the BKB. If he gets a lucky few bashes with the BKB active, he absolutely can take a fight even without the Chronosphere, but it's such a big risk. And we go onto the backlines. BKB on Magnus, going to be protecting him. RP lands onto 2 heroes, including the Storm Spirit. Oh wait, not the Storm Spirit. That was the Tusk, but the 2 RP heroes, they will get taken down. Zet, no Chronosphere just yet. He is still holding on to his BKB, but Vice have achieved what they set out to do. As long as they make a clean escape here, it is a very big win. 2 Raxes down, 25 minutes into the game is... Well, it's a very tough spot. If you look at the stats, I'm sure it's no more than an 80% win rate for the team that's down. And 11k net worth at 25 minutes, 12k now. It's definitely significant. It's not GG levels, but it is up there. And those 2 factors combined, things are looking pretty grim here for Sumi. But at the end of the day, all it takes is 1 Chronosphere and back in the game. Have plenty of damage on the Faceless Void. It's just whether or not Vice will give them that opportunity. Storm Spirit soon to have a Bloodstone. That's a very big up in for damage. Hiding in the trees, they're expecting the Nature's Prophet to come in. Then again, in an ideal world, you would be the one killing the Nature's Prophet whenever he TP's in. I think that was, part of the original plan Roshan, but the Nature's Prophet still has the Aegis, which is expiring very soon. Just so farmed on this Furion with the MKB really does hurt. Aegis expiring, this could be a pretty good opportunity for Sumi, but Zed, he spotted out, time walks forward, but he doesn't find any good RP targets. Chronosphere targets. And Vice, just gonna back off. Taking 2 lanes of Rax kind of simplifies in a way in that it means there's only really one set of objectives for Vice to go for. A Inspired to Roshan not up any soon. But if you're Vice, you can camp out this bottom lane eventually. The enemy team is going to have to come and defend your creeps. Then again, Vice, they're so far ahead. If you just look at these drafts, you would say yes, there is some pressure on Vice to end the game. Supports and don't scale that well. Sumi, they're so far behind. I think you can be happy taking it, you know, another 5-10 minutes, waiting for the next Aegis. The matter of fact is, Sumi, as time goes on, they get scarier and scarier. I'm not a very big fan of the Sanjin Yashihiro style better item in the vast majority of cases. But the Storm Spirit finally does have his Bloodstone. Gonna be going for the Orchid. Vice just poking around here, not going for any big moves. I think really the Aegis is the plan here. They have the Courier. In the pit, we're going to see the timer very soon. Obviously, they're going to be hoping quick timer. Now, Sumi, I'm not too sure if they want to try contesting it. They have some very good heroes for fighting around the pit. Storm, one of the best when it comes to stealing Aegises. And the Faceless Void. I mean, Chronosphere, what an amazing ability. But it's always a huge risk taking a fight against a team this far ahead. Storm Spirit, going to be going for the Grimstroke here. It's not a very significant pickoff, but it does slow down the game plan of Vice. Any bit? No, they're just going to commit here. RP on to the Storm Spirit. Skewer for the finish. Bob gets the kill just by himself. And that kind of shows you how far behind our Storm is and how far ahead Magnus is. Doom wants to go forward, but that is not the target you want to be using your ultimate on. He uses BKB just to make sure that Zemke is surviving for now. 7k, pretty good item. Meanwhile, an insta-kill on the Lich. Prophet trying to man fight here against Zed. Zed, he doesn't have the Quelling Blade. Has to wait for the time walk forward. Palace, he gets bashed, and that is a massive kill there. That was without the Chronosphere as well. Sumi still holding onto all of their ultimates. This could be a very big moment for them. And Vice finally realizing that the numbers are not in their favor. The cooldowns are not in their favor. They don't have their RP. Vice forced to back off, and Sumi, a massive win. 1,000 gold going the way of their Faceless Void from that kill onto Furion. But the best part of all of it is that held onto their Chronosphere, that held onto their Doom. Roshan timer gonna be up pretty soon. Vice, they're all gonna have their heroes up. Everyone will have respawn by the time that happens. But Sumi, things are definitely looking up for them. At least, I think their current game state is as good as you can hope for, given that, 5 minutes ago, you were down 13k net worth and down 2 lanes. Best possible outcome for them. Roshan, an obvious target here, and they're already pinging the Storm Spirit. We don't know where he is. Very scary to start up a fight. But that applies to both teams. It's not like they have someone who takes Roshan solo extremely quickly, extremely safely. And maybe if they had a Sven with the God Strength, you can go into the pit, solo Roshan, and everyone else is in position. Otherwise, Yuanbao Nan going to be running into a Sven here. They punch him up. Now, he is just in support. They don't really want to commit too much onto him. But they are going to have an RP dodged. They dodged the RP with the Yule Scepter here. Chronosphere on top of everything. The Storm Spirit, he is silenced, but he's healing up with the Bloodstone. And the Faceless Void, meanwhile, with the huge bounces coming in from the Chain Frost, able to clean things up. The Magnus gets taken down, and Nature's Prophet, 1 versus God knows how many, is not a good matchup for him. Nature's Prophet does well in 1v1 situations when he's outnumbering the enemy, but he has no actual abilities that help him in a fight. And, well, things went from the best case scenario for Sumi to an even better case scenario now getting onto Roshan. If Vice had a couple of buybacks, maybe it would be worth buying back to try and contest this, but Nature's Prophet, he bullets out, went for the Reaver. They are going to buy back on the Magnus, though. Looks like the threat of that is enough to keep Sumi at bay. It's not like they're going to back off and give the Roshan to the enemy either. Go Furion for another couple of seconds. Zed, his smoke is broken. Enryu, he doesn't have any stacks, but they're going to go on to the easiest target, which is the Grimstroke here. Nice thought on the Sven stun, using the snowball, now pulling in the Sven himself. Sven, no survivability whatsoever as a support. They aren't actually able to take him down. Here comes Bob, able to take down the Lich. And they did lose their Doom earlier. Ionited, he's still got plenty of mana. But just himself can't really do too much against the BKB Magnus, can't really do too much against the Timbersoul with all that magic resistance on him. And Zed TPing out, looks like they're going to have to give that Roshan away, but they were able to get the Aegis onto the Storm, and that in itself is already a very big win. Vice, they don't have a very large window, I think less than a minute, Chronosphere. But if they're able to take a full lane of Rax and get those Megas, the chance of a team winning against Megas 35 minutes into the game, I want to say, is less than 90%. It's just such a tough position, and obviously your win rate against Megas will go up the longer the game goes. But Sumi, they won't be facing that worst case contingency just yet. Are still finding a lot of farm on their heroes. Storm Spirit with the Aegis can feel much more secure about zipping in, and well, Faceless Void, personally, I really don't like the Sanjin Yasha here, but Sanjin Yasha plus Satanic at the end of the day gives you so much status resistance, pretty much 50% status resistance there. And, you know, imagine an RP only having half duration. Does have a pretty nice neutral item. To go with that Orb of Destruction. I think the minus armor is not that significant. Not in this game, but having the attack speed slow, the movement speed slow, allows you to stay in range of a target even without having to use Time Walk, and that's a very big deal. Both ultimates now up here. They've got the Aegis Sumi. They're going to make a move. They're still down 7k net worth, but I don't think that matters to them. Big zip forward. Stormspirit just looking to get some vision, going for the supports again, going for these easy targets. They can deal with the tanky guys later. Doom comes out here onto Magnus. Magnus did get his BKB off in time, but is going to get taken down regardless. It's a very big kill. Surprisingly for me, they don't actually take down any of the supports. They switch targets extremely quickly. Got it. Which I suppose is the better choice compared to the Magnus running away while getting doomed. But I do feel like the Storm Spirit could have finished off those supports himself anyway. Now the Magnus, he did buy back, so this is his dieback, and therefore he is down for an extremely long time. And Sumi, they know this. In an ideal world, they would be getting onto tier 3 towers right now, breaking racks, but the matter of fact is they've been playing down 2 lanes of racks for the past. You get the idea. So they are forced to defend, and they don't really have the best heroes to deal with that. It's not like they have an Arc Warden, which we saw in game 1. And you have a lot of global presence. You can TP back to your Tempest double, push out the waves that way while still maintaining a push. Storm Spirit, yes, he has a lot of range, but that involves him expending a lot of mana. And as a result for Vice, not really going to be losing all that much. The only thing they're going to be losing in terms of objectives is the tower down bottom, which is the lane where they don't have frags taken. And Vice, they're in a bit of a tough spot, 1 game away from elimination. Zenki gets taken down, poor guy, but we don't really care too much about him. Much more important is the Faceless Void. He has the BKB, he doesn't want to use it. Orchid does not last that long. Forced to use the BKB in the end and time walk out. And that is actually a very long duration BKB. I believe that's his 9-second BKB. It's down to 8 seconds. And obviously having the BKB against the Timber Soul is a very big deal. Just the Whirling Death alone, I think, warrants having a BKB. And then you have the Sven with the stuns. A lot of things that the BKB gets rid of. But he doesn't have to rely entirely on the BKB. Fundamentally, he's got so much status resistance. Stuns are just not going to last that long on him. And with that, he feels more comfortable going into another offensive item, which is going to be Aegis on Storm Spirit. Doesn't have that much time left. It's going to be expiring anytime soon. Sumi really didn't get too much out of it, but for them, not losing is already a good outcome. Drawing the game out is a good outcome. And as we saw in that previous fight, it doesn't matter how many items you build on the Nature's Prophet, you're still not going to scale as well as a Void. Do you have a Bash? No. Do you have an amazing lockdown ability? No. No. Do you have an amazing defensive ability in the Time Wolf? No. And he does represent a lot of their farmies, pretty much all of their damage. The Magnus, he does, but he's mostly concerned about getting that big RP rather than getting into the thick of things and really dealing that right-click DPS. And Sumi, their supports, they do scale quite well. I mean, the Tusk is arguable. A lot of the Tusk spells, other than the Snowball, do kind of fall off. I mean, the tag team damage is pretty negligible now. There's a lot of mobility tools to help deal with charts. But the Snowball defensively, we haven't really seen... Actually, no, I think we have seen a couple of big Snowball saves. So, with that, the Tusk, he can function in the late game very well. Storm Spirit here, they're not going to commit the RP. They know he doesn't have the Aegis, but not feeling confident enough. The Lich going into the late game is also a very strange one. Does have a Quelling Blade to help with the Fury on Sprout. Very far behind in farm, but Frost Shield, a spell which scales surprisingly well because it's percentage reduction. Always going to be useful at any stage of the game. And well, the Sven, I am having my doubts about him. It's not like he really deals much damage. And your stun, once you get all of your talents, is actually pretty good. Yes, becomes something like a 3-second duration stun on a 6-second cooldown. It's like 50% up time. Amazing. AoE stun, great. But you need so many levels, and he's just not finding that at the moment. Vice, I mean, they're hunting around for kills, but they aren't finding any good openings. Is an RP onto a Storm Spirit worth it? And we've seen before the Storm Spirit was able to dodge an RP with a Yule Scepter. Whether or not that was intentional is up for debate, but Storm Spirit probably has buyback. Well, I mean, I know he has buyback, but if you're Vice, is RPing the Storm Spirit really worth it? So many hard decisions to make here, and they are technically still up in net worth, but it really does not feel like it. Looks to be a long one. I mean, we're 40 minutes into here, 4 items going to be coming out. And Vice, for them, apparently they do have another tournament after this. But I think no matter what their schedule is looking like, they are not going to be giving up on this game that easily. A lot of money on the line. If you lose here, you walk away with nothing. Snowballing won't find anything here. Zenki looks for the 1 versus 1. Actually, it's not a 1 versus 1, and it's not even close. In comes Annihilate. There is backup coming in here. Palos joins the fight. Doom comes in, gets the Doom out onto Magnus. Chronosphere as well. If they take out the Nature's Prophet, that is a big chunk of damage out. And now the Hex coming out from the Prince's Knife there. Nature's Prophet will get taken down, does have the buyback, but already this fight is beyond salvageable. Sumi, they thought they were getting a good deal on that Tusk, and they did. They chased a little bit too far, and honestly, I think going for the Storm Spirit was a bit too ambitious. This whole time he was holding onto the Yule Scepter. He was holding it just in case. He didn't feel the threat of the Orchid. Now Vice, Doom down, Chronosphere down. They're going to be trying to force the Roshan here. Faces Void, Time Walking in. Nice silence. They do get the RP onto 2. Instant buybacks coming out. Stormspirit meanwhile going in for the squishy backline. They're able to take down 1. Palos, he is the main damage dealer and he's taken extremely low. He won't be able to lifesteal during his Satanic. And once again, the Prince's Knife Hex comes out onto him. Zed time walking forward. He's going to get bashed down. And Vice now, 2 heroes left for them. Flying back on whoever they can, but they're down the RP. Does have the Blink Dagger. Is the timing good? It's actually pretty darn good here. But Zed, he gets the Aegis. Refresher Shard. Anything. Nothing stolen there by our Magnus. That is a bit unfortunate. And I think that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the game. Sumi, game 1, game 2, very similar in that they were down the entire time. If you look at that, we're most of the game, they were very far behind, but the tenacity coming out, Sumi, fundamentally, they have the better late game draft. You go through a lot of pains to get here, but they are able to take to 2.